I welcome you to another series of our videos. So we'll continue discussing vectors. The problem at hand is problem 65, coming from College Physics, Sewe, 11th edition. So the question reads, a girl delivering newspapers covers her route by traveling 3 blocks west, 4 blocks north, and then 6 blocks east. So A, what is her final position relative to her starting location? Then what is the length of path she walked? So in physics, it's important whenever you're given a problem to find a solution of, you need to visualize or to come up with a simplest possible diagram showing how you understand the question. So this girl moves 3 blocks to the west. Okay, so and this one is not drawn to the scale. Then 4 blocks north. Then 6 blocks east. So this is the movement moved by the girl. Then our resultant vector becomes this. So as I've mentioned, this is our resultant. Then this is not drawn to the scale, but when you draw it to the scale, it will give you a perfect diagram. So let's look at the diagram that I've prepared. So this is the diagram. So this girl moves 3 blocks to the west, then 4 blocks north, then 6 blocks east. Then this is the resultant vector. So we've looked at the diagram representation of this question. So now let's find the solution to this question. So to find the solution of this question, we'll need to break down each vector into its components. So let's start with A. So for easy understanding, I've decided to write each vector as if it was one vector alone. So for vector A, this is the representation of vector A, representation of vector B, representation of vector C. So for vector A, we can tell that it's at an angle of 180 degrees. Then vector B is at an angle of 90 degrees. Then vector C is at an angle of 0 degrees. So this is we measure these angles with positive x-axis as the reference. So in physics, whenever you're dealing with vectors, you're always advised to be using the positive x-axis as your reference point. So let's see the vector components of vector A. So to find the components of vector A, we use some formulas. So let's start by finding the x component of vector A. So to find the x component of vector A, we use the formula x is equal to A cos theta. A is the magnitude of the vector A, which is 3. Then theta is the angle, which is 180. So let's punch this on our calculator. When we punch, we are getting -3 as our x component of vector A. So we find the y component of vector A. To find the y component of vector A, this is the formula we need. So the formula is y is equal to A sine theta. A is the magnitude of vector A. Then theta is the angle, which is 180. So when we punch this on a calculator, it's giving us 0. So the y component of vector A is 0. So let's look at the components of vector B and C. So the components of vector B, to find the x component of vector B, we use this equation. X is equal to B cos theta. B is equal to 4. Theta is equal to 90. So when we punch this on a calculator, it's giving us 0. Then the to find the y component, we use this formula. Y is equal to B sine theta. So our B is the magnitude of the vector, which is 4. Then our angle is 90, which is the theta. So when we punch that on the calculator, giving us 4 blocks. So we can also look at the vector components of vector C. So to find the x component, we say x is equal to C cos theta. The magnitude of C is 6. Then the theta it's 0. So when we punch this on a calculator, 6 cos 0, it's giving us 6 blocks. Then y component, to find the y component, you use this equation. Y is equal to C sine theta. What is C? The magnitude of C is 6. Then the angle theta is 0. So when you punch this on a calculator, 6 sine 0, it's giving us 0. So we found the components, or we've resolved these vectors into their components. So let's now look at the summation of these components. So it is important to put them in a table format to avoid making mistakes. So let's do that. So summation of components. So vector A, the x component is -3, then the y component is 0. Vector B, the x component is 0, then the y component is 4. Vector C, the x component is 6 and the y component is 0. So the resultant x component is 3. So this, you do it just by saying -3 plus 6, which is giving us 3. Then the resultant y component, it's 4. So you just add 0 plus 4 plus 0, which is giving us 4. So 3 and 4, these are the resultant components of the resultant vector. So let's now see how the resultant vector is looking like. So these are both positives. So let's see how the resultant vector looks like. So this is how the resultant vector looks like. Since the x component is positive and the y component is positive, this is how it's drawn. So we can tell that this vector is in the first quadrant. Then let's now find the magnitude. So to find the magnitude, the magnitude is given by the square root of x squared plus y squared. So x squared, the resultant x component, we found that it was 3. So you square the 3. Then the y component, the resultant y component, we found that it was 4. So you square the 4. So when you square the 3, you get 9. When you square the 4, you get 16. So when you add this, you get 25. Then when you find the square root of 25, then the resultant vector becomes, or the resultant magnitude of the vector becomes 5 blocks. So at this point, we can also find the direction of this resultant vector. So to find the direction is given by tan inverse y over x. So it's given by this. Then y over x these are just the resultant components. So resultant components y, it was 4. The resultant x component, it was 3. So when you punch that on a calculator, it will give you this. When you punch that again, when you punch 4 over 3 on a calculator, it will give you this. So when you punch on a calculator this, we find that our theta is equal to that 53.13010235 degrees. So that is the theta. So this becomes the answer because the vector is in the first quadrant. So we can now write this answer into three significant forms. So the answer or the direction is 53.1 degrees north of east. So for question B they are asking us to find the length. So to find the length, you just add the number of blocks, which is 3 blocks plus 4 blocks plus 6 blocks, giving us 13 blocks. We are done. They are just asking us the length, and we know what the length is. So the final answer, or to summarize whatever was being discussed, so we'll say A, the answer is 5.00 blocks at 53.1 degrees north of east. Then B, it's 13.0 blocks. So we can tell that this has this has this is a vector, then this is a scalar quantity. This has both the direction and the magnitude. This has only the magnitude, it has no direction. So at this point we are done with what the question required us to do. So thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel.